One moment, we were trying to piece together the puzzle of the dead man and my past. The next, Cherry was gone. The hunt was frantic, desperate. Justin, usually so controlled, was consumed by a primal rage. Chester, the pillar of calm, showed cracks in his composure. And I felt the raw terror of a mother facing the unthinkable. Then, the relief. We found Cherry, safe but terrified, hidden in a secret room. But the relief was short-lived, replaced by a chilling dread. The note left behind was a threat, not just against Cherry, but against Pete. So who is behind this calculated act of terror? What is the significance of the old letter and its cryptic message of vengeance? And how far will they go to settle this ancient debt? And will I be able to protect my children from the darkness that threatens to consume them? We've reviewed the security footage again, Chester said, his voice tight. There's nothing. No sign of anyone entering or leaving the mansion except for us. Except for the blind spot, Justin countered, his voice sharp. That section of the hallway where the cameras malfunctioned, that's where they took her. It could be a coincidence, Chester said, but his voice lacked conviction. Coincidence? Justin scoffed. Nothing about this is a coincidence, Chester. Someone planned this. Someone knew exactly where to strike. I felt a surge of nausea. The thought of someone deliberately targeting my daughter, someone lurking in the shadows of this very house, was almost unbearable. We need to focus on the letter, I said, my voice firm, trying to push back the rising panic. I held up the old, yellowed paper. This is our only lead. Justin took the letter, his eyes scanning the faded script. A debt to be repaid. The child. Vengeance. He frowned. It's old. Really old. Decades, maybe even a century. But it's addressed to your grandfather, I pointed out. This has to be connected to the Hunt family. Chester stepped closer, his gaze intense. There are stories, Justin. Rumors of a feud. A falling out with a distant branch of the family. It was never discussed openly, but what? Justin demanded, his voice impatient. But there were whispers, Chester said, his voice low. Whispers of betrayal, of stolen inheritance, of a vow of revenge. My mind raced. A family feud. Could that really be the motive behind this? It seemed almost archaic. That's insane, Justin said, shaking his head. That was generations ago. Why would anyone hold a grudge for so long? Because some wounds never heal, Chester said, his voice grim. And some people are willing to wait, to plan, to strike when you least expect it. A chilling realization washed over me. This wasn't just about Cherry. It was about Pete, the letter, the threat. It was all aimed at Justin, at his son. We need to find out who this branch of the family is, I said, my voice firm. We need to know who would want to hurt your children, Justin. Justin nodded, his expression hardening. I'll get Lawrence on it. He'll dig up every detail about our family history, every hidden secret. As he made the call, I felt a strange unease. Something wasn't adding up. The pieces of the puzzle were there, but they didn't quite fit. Then, a thought struck me. The security footage, I said, my voice low. We need to look at it again, every frame. We spent the next hour poring over the footage, our eyes burning with exhaustion. We rewound, fast-forwarded, zoomed in, searching for any anomaly, any clue. And then, I saw it. A brief flicker of movement in the shadows, a figure slipping through the blind spot in the hallway. There, I said, pointing to the screen. Enhance that section. Chester manipulated the controls and the image sharpened. It was a person, their face obscured by a hood, but their build and gait were familiar. It's him, I whispered. The security guard. Justin's face twisted with fury. He betrayed us. But why? Chester asked, his voice puzzled. He's been with us for years. He's loyal to the highest bidder, Justin countered. Someone got to him. Someone paid him to help them. My mind raced. Who would pay a security guard to kidnap my daughter? Who had access to that kind of money, that kind of power? Then, Solo's words echoed in my mind. He worked for a man who has been known to acquire things, by any means necessary. A horrifying realization dawned on me. Justin, I said, my voice trembling, I think I know who's behind this. I told him about Solo's investigation, about the dangerous people she had uncovered, about the connection to someone from my past. Justin listened, his expression growing increasingly grim. It makes sense, he said finally. It explains the letter, the focus on the Hunt family. It's not just about revenge. It's about power. power? I asked, confused. My uncle, Justin said, his voice laced with venom. He's always been ambitious. He's always wanted what my father has. And now he wants Pete, I whispered, my heart pounding. He wants to control the Hunt legacy, Justin said, and he's willing to use my children to get it. The full horror of the situation crashed down on me. My children were pawns in a deadly game, a game played by ruthless men with no regard for human life. We need to leave, I said, my voice firm. It's not safe here, not anymore. Justin hesitated. But this is my home. It's a battlefield, I countered. And I won't risk my children's lives. We're going back to Anderson Villa. Justin looked at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of pain and understanding. He knew I was right. The goodbye was agonizing. Pete clung to me, his small arms wrapped tightly around my neck. Justin's gaze was filled with a longing that mirrored my own. I'll protect them, he said, his voice rough. I swear it. I know you will, I said, my voice trembling. But I can't stay here, Justin, not until this is over. As we walked away, Chester watched us, his expression unreadable. He approached Justin, his voice low. She's good for you, Justin, he said. And for Pete. You know that, don't you? Justin nodded slowly, his gaze fixed on the retreating figures of Cherry and me. I know, Chester. I know. My decision to leave was agonizing, a tear in the fabric of the makeshift family we had begun to build. Pete's desperate embrace, Justin's silent plea in his eyes. It tore at me. But I couldn't risk Cherry, not for a moment longer. So, where do we go from here? What will Justin do to protect Pete from his own uncle? Will he confront him directly, or will he resort to more subtle tactics? And what about me? Will I ever be able to fully escape the shadows of my past? Or will they forever intertwine with the dangers that surround the Hunt family? And most importantly, will Justin and I find a way to navigate this treacherous path? Or will the weight of these secrets and threats ultimately tear us apart?